Hello everyone, I'm glad to have with me today Chief Pat Ballard. You pulled up in that pretty red truck over there.
Yeah, it's a nice truck. I like having that new pickup.
You can't go incognito, can you?
No, they're going to pretty much know when I pull up, that's for sure.
The last time we talked, we had a storm move through our area, and of course this time of the year we still have severe weather. We got to have a plan in place, and we're going to talk about fireworks today, but I want to ask you first, have we pretty well recovered from the storm?
Oh yeah, we've done real well. We've had a debriefing session with the county officials and everything, and we've come up with a few new things that we've thought of that didn't think of in the first place, and we're more prepared for the next time it comes around.
And yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And during this time of the year, these hot temperatures, it can pop up any afternoon.
Oh yeah, we could have severe weather at a drop of a hat anytime in the summertime in Georgia. That's just normal, so we have to be prepared on a daily basis for this to happen.
Okay, it is July and fireworks is legal. Right. I cannot believe I'm 55 years old. It's always been illegal other than the little sparklers and stuff, but right. Fireworks are now legal in Georgia.
They sure are. House Bill 110 went in effect, and you can now buy what we call consumer fireworks in the state of Georgia, the things that Florida and South Carolina and Tennessee had that go way up in the air and explode. So it's a whole new time for us now.
And with that can come a lot of injury, even on the older stuff, the fireworks and the little pop things. Holding them in your hand is dangerous, but these new ones, we've got some dangerous fireworks on sale now.
Oh, we do. It's basically black powder. It explodes, and it's highly dangerous, and it shoots way up in the air. So we have to be very careful with them. That's why the state of Georgia has instituted the law where you have to be at least 18 years of age to purchase these fireworks, and you really need to have at least an adult present when you use them. And you have to be extremely careful because you can lose a hand or be burned severely with these consumer fireworks. That's why they have limited the amount they're allowed to have in stores, and they've been very careful to make sure they protected us as best they can.
What would you suggest? Now, we've had some rain in our area lately. We're not super dry, but as you know, we can have a rain today and 2 days later it's dry in your yard. What would you suggest to people? Some good tips as far as where to set off these fireworks, how to set off these fireworks? Well,
you know, common sense really dictates you want to make sure you're not in an area where you have a lot of roofs or houses where the stuff that shoots up in the air can come down and set somebody's roof on fire. If you've got pine straw or a buildup of leaves on your roof, now would be a good time to get them off. You need to be extremely careful, make sure an adult's present. Be very careful not to hold this stuff in your hands. If you have something that goes up in the air, make sure you plant it in the ground where it will shoot up and get far enough away to protect yourself, you know, anywhere from 25 to 50 feet. And be extremely careful with the ones that blow up. Open fields is the best place, you know, where you don't have a lot of houses or buildings around. They have a time limit now under the new House bill that you can set them off from 10 in the morning till 12 at night, except on the actual holiday where you can actually use your fireworks from 10 in the morning until 2 the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be some loud nights.
I'd say so. So you've got to be 18 or over to buy them.
Right.
What would you suggest going back to that common sense rule, what would you suggest to parents who should set these fireworks off?
Well, I wouldn't, you know, I would make sure I had an adult supervision. Adults would be the safest ones to do it. You know, if they're children or small children or teenage children, it would be best to let them observe, but let the adults actually use the fireworks themselves. That's the safest way to do it.
And what about storing fireworks? You mentioned like the businesses in town, but to someone who said, hey, fireworks are legal, I'm going to go spend $400 or $500. You didn't set them all off. What about storing those fireworks? Is that smart?
Yeah, I would say so. I wouldn't store them in my house for sure. Just like the fireworks law in effect now, these buildings, these businesses that are selling the consumer fireworks can only maintain 500 pounds in the building at a time. So even they realize that they can't keep too much in there. So if you buy consumer fireworks and you're going to store them and not use them, I would have them in an outbuilding or a building separate from my house. I would definitely not store them in the house because that's just an explosion waiting to happen.
Okay, what about a lot of cookouts going on now, fish fries going on, and of course I love to fry fish, that propane tank. What are some tips where to fry them fish or to grill and where not to do it?
Well, I recommend that you at least keep it away from a structure. I fry fish, do the same thing. My grill is at 10, 15 feet from the house. You have to be very careful when you have hot grease not to get any type of water towards it. There has been several houses burned down of people trying to fry turkeys and stuff like that and putting a frozen turkey, and I think everybody has probably seen the video what water and hot grease can do together. So you want to keep it separate from a structure. That's the safest thing to do. You don't want to put a propane tank inside a garage or inside your house. Keep it outside in an outbuilding or at least out on your patio or in your driveway. That's the safest way to do it.
So if a rainstorm comes up and I want to keep frying them fish, I shouldn't bring it under the carport, right?
Not if you can avoid it, and that's not smart. To find a place where you have a roof is if you got an awning or something like that where you can get out. But the safest thing to do, and being a firefighter, I always have a fire extinguisher at my house, and if I'm using something like that, I keep that fire extinguisher close by. Just like these fireworks, every tent that sells fireworks, which are the Safe and Sane or the poppers, they're required to have at least 2 fire extinguishers, and same way with the buildings that sell fireworks. So, anybody can purchase a fire extinguisher and keep it at their house. Yeah. So if you're doing anything like that, that's the safe way to do it, is keep it handy.
And we should all have a fire extinguisher.
Everybody should have at least 1 fire extinguisher in their house.
And not one we bought 10 years ago.
No.
They only have a certain life to them.
Right. They all fire extinguishers in businesses and at the fire department has to be inspected and tested once a year. Mm-hmm. So, if you have a fire extinguisher that's been in your house 10 years, it's time to throw it away and get another one. Kind of like your smoke detectors.
Right. And we have to go get propane. All of us have to put it in the car, go fill it up. Is there a certain place in our vehicle we should not haul that in, like the rear of the vehicle? Should you put it in the front of the vehicle?
Actually, it's a double-edged sword. If you put it in the trunk, usually you're putting it closer to the gas tank, and if you put it inside with you, it's you got a chance of a propane leak, and you could be overcome by propane. So, to be perfectly honest, the safest thing is to get you a pickup truck and put it in the back of the pickup. That's what I do mine. I don't haul mine in a SUV or a vehicle. I always put mine in the back of the pickup and strap it in.
Okay, you hear the chief, go get you a truck.
That's right. Buy you a truck if you're going to haul propane.
And you mentioned fire detectors a moment ago. I know there are certain times of the year we should check them, but talk to us about fire detectors.
Well, smoke detectors are the most important thing that you can have in your house, in my opinion. That's your first line of defense in case of a fire. And we usually recommend that every time the time changes, you change your batteries. Now, the 9-volt batteries don't have to be thrown away. You can use them for other things, but it's always good to have a fresh 9-volt battery. And once a month is a good time to push the test button to make sure your smoke detector still operates. And the life expectancy of a smoke detector is somewhere between 5 and 10 years. So if you have a smoke detector that has been up for 10 years, it's time to take it down and throw it away because it's not functioning like it needs to.
And they're so inexpensive, and I have gas logs, so I've got the smoke detector and the carbon monoxide that actually talks to me. It tells me there's a fire, or especially when I burn toast.
Right.
And that's another thing. What about, we buy a toaster and keep it forever and ever and ever. Those things cause fires, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that generates electricity, just like your electric heaters. Mm-hmm. That's why most of your companies have went to the ceramic heaters and got away from the wire heaters. And a toaster is nothing but a dead short that causes a wire to heat up inside. So they're extremely, not only are they can cause a fire, they can also electrocute you if you have them if you touch it in the wrong place. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of appliances out there that can get us hurt, and you need to be really careful when you use them.
And they're so inexpensive. I don't know why me, keep things that long, because a toaster really don't cost a whole lot, but the consequences of keeping that old toaster is a lot more than just going ahead and buying a new one.
Yeah, I agree with you, but most consumers look at it as if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I'm the same way sometimes with things that I probably should throw away, but as long as it's not giving me a problem, I keep it. But that's a really good suggestion, is when you get old appliances, the cords get brittle, the wiring gets brittle, and it's a good time to throw it away and get a new one.
Okay, and if you just joined us, fireworks are legal now in Georgia. And before we go, how many, we've got the tent set up. We're here at the mall fire station. I know there's a tent set over here at the mall. I think there's another one somewhere else. But tell us, will they be, we've got one permanent fireworks business?
Inside the city, we have 2 tents right now. One set up at Walmart, one set up at the mall. And they can sell what we call the safe and sane fireworks, which are the poppers and the sparklers, everything that you could buy in the past. But under the new consumer fireworks law, it has to be in a permanent building. And ours is over at the Kroger Shopping Center over there between Great Clips and the China restaurant. And they will be over there until after the 4th of July. Now, they're not going to be a permanent building. They're going to leave after the 4th and come back in December. But I understand the one across from Zaxby's on 441 North will be there year-round. So they have to be, if you sell consumer fireworks, there is a very strict statutes that you have to go through to be able to do that, and they have to be in a permanent building. They cannot be in a tent. So we will be monitoring all 3 locations in the city on a daily basis between now and the 4th of July.